absolutely love giant monsters. Ever since I was a wee lad, I always had this fascination with gigantic creatures either battling each other or just destroying buildings and environments and everything like that. From the Powerpuff Girls to Rampage to my absolute most favorite IP ever, Godzilla. Even before Netflix was a streaming service and they were still sending movies through DVDs in the mail, that's when I was watching these movies. I also really enjoyed the Pacific Rim films as well as Transformers for as many flaws as both of those have. Well, not the first Pacific Rim, the second one had a lot though. So imagine the joy I had when I was going on Crunchyroll to go watch God knows what. I don't even remember what I was watching at the time. I think I was looking for Bleach, but it's not on Crunchyroll, so I was very upset about that. But I did find this thing called Kaiju number 8 in my recommendations because it was in the featured when it was coming out, right? And oh boy, was I not disappointed after clicking on it. I had no idea what it was going into it. All I saw was this cool ass creature on the front and it just said Kaiju. So I was like, oh man, I like Kaijus. I like those a lot. But what is Kaiju number 8 about? Kaiju number 8 is a shonen anime set in a world where gigantic monsters attack Japan on the regular. And the Defense Force, funny that they're called the Defense Force, reminds me of Earth Defense Force 5 and 4 and 3 and 2 and 1 and 6. Also goated games. They exterminate them. The story follows Kafka Hiboni. I don't know, his last name doesn't matter. A 32-year-old who has always dreamed of joining the Defense Force, but he ended up working Kaiju cleanup instead. The people who go in and clean up the garbage after the Defense Force is done blowing the Kaiju up, cleaning up the Kaiju's insides, outsides, and their fecal matter sometimes, apparently. Kafka's childhood friend, Mina Ashiro, became probably one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful current captain of the Defense Force, while he's stuck in a dead-end job. So obviously you feel pretty bad for Kafka. But after an encounter with this weird mosquito kaiju, even though it's like, when I think kaiju, I think gigantic monster, but the one that he encounters here is like literally like a little bit bigger than my arm. It goes inside of his mouth and just assaults him while he's on the hospital bed, transforming him into a kaiju, like a humanoid just monster. And not only that, but he is an insanely powerful kaiju. Again, I don't know how he's classified as a kaiju since he's, not 100 feet tall, but I guess it just means monster. He's labeled Kaiju number 8 since the government puts numbers on these more powerful, unique kaiju. And he has to hide his identity while trying out for the Defense Force. One last time, because they raised the age, cutoff. And I don't want to spoil anything else, so I'll cut it off there. There might be spoilers later on in the video, I don't know. I would compare this show, I know this is going to be a weird comparison, if I were to take Attack on Titan and One Punch Man and Pacific Rim and just mash them together and then up the comedy a little bit more, that's what this show would be. There's tons of action, tons of comedy, a lot of it doesn't land for me, but a lot of it does. And the Attack on Titan bits more so because he's joining like a squad, right, that's protecting against an outer threat that they really don't understand. Especially as the story goes on, it's like, oh wait, there's more than one kaiju that can talk for some reason. What's up with that? And he can turn into a person, huh? So Kafka can turn into a kaiju, but this guy can turn into people. There's tension build up because obviously Kafka is trying to stay hidden. It's the classic like Spider-Man story, but he's not Spider-Man, he's a monster who can piss out of his nipples for some reason. Also another thing to relate to One Punch Man is because he one-shots like everything. The only times there's even a lick of tension is when he has to fight people, because he's worried about hurting them because he doesn't actually want to kill them, but they're attacking him because they think he's a monster. And I guess at the very end, someone does put up a good fight because they're also using numbered kaiju stuff. And yet somehow, even though he's broken, like literally probably the strongest kaiju ever, it's still a bit of an underdog story because Kafka is still trying to prove himself to the Defense Force without really using his powers. In fact, he passes it, I think, without using them at all. They could have went the route where he uses his powers to advance through the course, right? But no, he actually ends up using his own human skills that he acquired through the cleanup crew to actually get into the Defense Force. And that was honestly a really nice change of pace. I didn't expect them to go that route. He kind of proves himself as an underdog while also being completely broken. I really like that. I'm also a fan of the fact that there's also this child prodigy character, what is that? Kikoro Shinomiya. It's like this really cool blonde girl who's just amazing. Her suit levels are off the charts. She one-shots everything. And after Kafka saves her, you would think, like normally with shonen, the main character, like that would be at least that person would fall in love with the main character. But no, it makes sense too. It feels more so like a big brother relationship because Kafka is like 32 and this person's 18. She's the OP rich kid who eventually starts to see Kafka as like a father, big brother type figure and to really trust her team. Obviously starting off as a bit of a bitch, but then you later learn, it's because her dad's terrible, of course. Why not? Go figure. Elite warrior with the soft side archetype, we've seen it 100 times. The rest of the defense force also gets plenty of spotlight. I just forget their names because if I'm being honest, this anime was pretty forgetful for me, even though I did love it. The reason why the thumbnail says delicious slop is because it feels like just that. It didn't leave a profound effect on me. It was more so just very fun and a good experience, but like I forgot about it a month later. Unless obviously I hear about it somehow or think about all the anime I watched. It's kind of like Elfen Lied to me, although that one I remember just because there was a lot of gore and incest. Whereas this one I remember because I like Godzilla. Wait, look at this. I have more of these, but they're bigger. These are the biggest ones that I have. It's Kiryu or Mechagodzilla 3 and Godzilla from Godzilla Final Wars. I told you I was a fan, motherfuckers. Oh my god, how could I have forgotten to mention this? The intro's fantastic. For some reason it has this like CGI. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it. Just go look up Kaiju number 8 opening since I'll get copyright striked for showing it. Like the song's incredible. I have it on my Spotify playlist. And then whenever Kafka goes Kaiju mode and does something really badass, it's like down, 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 down. Down, 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 down. It's incredible. Also, like the soundtrack's just fantastic. And to be honest, there's not much else for me to say about this at this point. I haven't read the manga, so I don't know what happens next. I'm very excited for season 2. Like it's filled with predictable tropes, if I'm being honest, but the animation's great. The characters have really cool designs. There's tons of fun moments. The characters are very likable. I don't think there's a single character I really hated in this show. Like just hanging out with them was fun, to be honest. Obviously I didn't physically hang out with them, but you know what I mean. Watching the more slow parts were actually kind of nice because it was almost like watching a group of teammates kind of bond and be like family, and I missed that. And the fights were just amazing, even though a lot of them were not really fights. It was Kafka coming in last second and blowing whatever's in front of him into absolute smithereens. It kind of does the One Punch Man formula to a T, where the the lesser people fight the threat for the entire episode and then they almost win, but then oh no, they have like a second form or something, then they lose, they're out of breath, they're done toast. Kafka comes in trying to hide his identity most of the time and just like, yeah, I'm gonna like punch you really hard. Also, I can fly now for some reason. I don't know how he knows he has half of these powers. We don't see him practicing. I guess that's a con. Like we don't see him practicing at all, and he'll just be like, oh yeah, I get like jet boosters coming out of my skin, or like I can bite a knife that's stabbed in me using a mouth that's like in my hip for some reason. But I recommend it. Give it a shot if you haven't seen it already, and let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it, if you did watch it. It's only like 12 episodes. It's just like it's like a McDonald's burger, it's decent. You shouldn't eat it every day, or actually I equate it more to junk food. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Go watch my other videos. They're better than this. I gotta fix my brain, man. My brain ain't working no more.